We're going to start with an opener this afternoon from head coach Brian Schmetzer, and then we'll get to your questions in the room. So with that, we'll turn it over to Brian.
So I want to address right away Nuhu, because I know I was a little vague at times about his illness, but we've cleared things with the doctors and Nuhu himself. So the unspecified illness was actually malaria, and we don't know exactly where he picked it up, maybe on his international duties, but that was the illness. He's been treated and he's fine. The medicine works fairly quickly, the appropriate medication. And it is a serious condition. I mean, even the word is kind of scary. I saw your reaction, Maz, when it came out of my mouth, and that's the way we felt. But we expect him to make a full recovery. There are some concerns with malaria, though, about enlarged spleen. That can be one of the side effects of the illness. And so we are monitoring that closely. And as soon as that issue is resolved, he will be returned to full participation. He can still run and jog on the side, but just no contact until that issue is resolved. So that was the reason for his absence.
Okay, we'll turn it over for questions. Jada, go ahead, please. And actually, the microphone's coming around to you. Sorry. You just cut through, Gigi. You're okay.
Thanks. Just to follow up, I mean, was that you found out just recently that it was malaria, or can you give the timeline of it? And the timeline
I don't
of
think I should go into the timeline. I think that's a private matter between the doctors and Nuhu. It happened. We treated it. When we found out about it, we treated it right away. It was something that we felt we could get on top of quickly. But you know, it is a serious illness, so we're being precautionary.
Maz? Jada, do you have a follow-up?
Is he on the back end of it, or?
He is definitely on the other side of it. Like I said, the medication worked fairly quickly, and then it just becomes the side effects of the spleen and other side effects. He's tired, but he's on the mend.
Maz?
Brian, obviously disappointing loss. What can you tell us about the locker room and what your thoughts are in terms of how the team started?
Sure. Obviously, as a coach, you got to take some responsibility there. You know, when I reflect on it, the immediate reflection, Maz, was, we made changes on both halves of the field, kind of, because we pushed Alex over to the left and brought Reed on at the back, and then I changed the front guys, their shape, their formation. Had I had to do it over again, I would have only changed one of those two components. Either keep the front the same, move the back, maybe keep the back more solid with Alex and Cody, and then you could change the front. I think that was too many changes in the makeup of the team, and so I thought you saw it. I mean, Alex wasn't comfortable over there on the left, the two goals that we gave up. So if I had to do it over again, I might change some things. But we, made some adjustments at halftime, and I think those worked. I thought Montero came on, did a good job. Cody came on, did a good job. Tevez came on, did a good job, and we were close. One more bit of quality, one more chance. Maybe the result goes to 2-2, and who knows after that.
Jeremiah?
Yeah, you mentioned Cody Baker. He looked like he was pretty good out there. How would you assess him, and what's his prognosis for first team contract and whatnot?
Let's not talk about the first team contract quite yet, but he's going to have another opportunity against the Galaxy in the Open Cup on Wednesday. And, you have 4 opportunities for the call-ups. This was his second. We'll do his third for the Open Cup in Houston, because we'll need support for that game as well. But look, the kid's a game kid, Jeremiah. He came on and did a good job against Johnny Russell, one of the better wingers in the league. So kid's got good upside.
Tim?
The team seemed to have trouble playing through the midfield during that first half. In particular, there were a few misplaced passes and a couple instances of the pressure closing off passing lanes. The second half, that midfield group was still largely the same, obviously changes around them, but The trio in particular of Obed, Albert, and Nico seem to have a lot more success playing through that Kansas City midfield. Was there anything in particular that you saw change both in the approach from your side and from Kansas City?
Well, from Kansas City, it's fairly obvious. When teams go up 2-0, that's why it's a dangerous lead. They just take their foot off the gas a little bit. I think they were holding on, just, playing a little more conservative just to hold on to the lead. As far as our tactics in the second half, we went back to Nico in the left pocket, Montero coming on in the right pocket. So subtle changes. The overall system doesn't change. The people that we had in those positions in the first half, that was different, but our style of play, the way we want to play, that stays the same.
We'll come around to the other side of the room, and I'm seeing a couple hands on Zoom, which is great. We'll get to you folks in a second. We'll start with Owen here.
Yeah, obviously you talked about having Jordan up top today, how you switched that around a little bit. Do you think teams have figured out how to deal with him? It's been a little less successful in these past few games, but we've kept having him up top.
No, I just think it's not just one position and figuring out Jordan or figuring out Chu. I mean, each game's different. Jordan still likes playing up there, but he was super effective on the left today. In the second half, he was real good. Thought he created some good chances, and the ball that Albert gives to him, he's flying in from the left-hand side. So we'll keep assessing. Again, I said this a couple weeks ago. I don't think the final product of this team, how we shape up, who's going to be in there if the playoffs started tomorrow, I think that's still up in the air.
Nico?
Hi, Brian. So going forward with the whole project of making Midfield a fortress, does today spark any changes in that plan going into future home matches?
No. I mean, you always want to win your home games. I mean, that's always the objective. Sometimes you achieve your objective, sometimes not. Again, I would say that the effort that the players put in, you guys can all see it very clear. They never give up. That's part of why Midfield is a hard place to play. Some teams might have, not come out with that intensity in the second half, but I was proud that the way they responded. But, there again, I'll take some of the blame, and you also have to give Kansas City some credit. They took their goals and, came out of here with a victory.
Okay, Jada, did you have one? We'll go stay quickly here and then go over to Jose and then over to Zoom.
Thanks. Just wanted to see if you got another look at Jordan Morris's goal or attempt in the 72nd minute. I guess he wanted to have a penalty on that one.
I think he was arguing for a corner kick, actually. Yeah, so, the defender made a play. It was a good, maybe a little bit behind Jordan, ball in front there, but it was a good sequence. I think to speak to our team when we're going really well, Jada, I think it's a good question. When things are going well, when we win the ball, when we press higher up the field and we win the ball like we did in that moment, we're pretty good in our transition moments. And in the first half, we didn't. We'd win the ball, and then we'd rush something, we'd give the ball away. We just weren't in sync. Some of our attacking movements, our transition moments just weren't there. So in the second half, again, we made some adjustments, but the players also made some adjustments in a little more concentration, better choices of their passes, and I think that's what we saw.
All right, we'll go to Jose and then over to Zoom. Jose, go ahead, please.
Coach, did you get an update or a preliminary update on Leo Chu? As he exited the game, he was favoring his leg.
Yeah, he got dinged up on his ankle, foot in one of the tackles. He'll be fine. He's a tough kid.
Okay, thanks to those of you with your hands raised on Zoom. As a reminder, if you'd like to get a question in, please hit that raise hand function button. We'll start with Felipe Makeda. Felipe, please go ahead.
Thank you, Alex. Coach Brian, my question to you is, knowing that you were playing Kansas City, you saw the opportunity to make these changes that you just talked about. In the beginning, when you were changing your defensive line, and you saw it as an opportunity. The second is, if this game, given play time to these younger players was another opportunity to thinking for the U.S. Open Cup coming game?
Not sure of your last question, Felipe, but I'll answer the first one and try and answer the second. Regardless of our opponent, whether it was Sporting Kansas City or Colorado or Dallas or whoever we play, I still would have tried the attacking lineup. I think that's something that we're going to continue to look at. I think when it's going well, it would create problems for a lot of teams. And then as far as preparation for the Open Cup, I mean, each game, we take each game very seriously. We were trying to win this game, and playing time was not dictated by that. When a game, you know, when I change a game with Reed and Leo Chu, yeah, they might feature in the Open Cup game, but some of the other guys that played tonight might feature in the Open Cup game as well. We'll assess, we'll bring them in tomorrow for a regen, and we'll pick a good team to go out there on Wednesday.
Okay, next question to Alonso Contreras. Alonso, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Alex. Hi, Coach. I know it's a tough loss. Coach, I would like to ask you about the long ball constantly to Morris, and he couldn't win the ball. Why keep sending him the same play over and over? Thank you.
Yeah, it's not my job to micromanage players' decisions. What they see on the field is different when I can see on the bench, but it was, Alonso, not typical of us to launch that many long balls specifically to Jordan. I think you have to use the strength of, you know, Jordan's speed, Leo Chu's speed. Sometimes early in the games, if you put the ball over the top, it opens up space in midfield where you can play. So, you know, we'll review that on the tape, and we'll try and, you know, help the players with their decision making. But, you know, I think that's an effective weapon at times.